Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. All right, folks, so the issue of birthright citizenship is back in the news, and there's a huge update I need to share with you. Now, you recall the Trump administration wants to change birthright citizenship to exclude children who are born in the country, but to undocumented immigrants. And to accomplish that, Trump has issued an executive order stating, among other things, again, that children born in this country, but their parents are undocumented, those children are not citizens. That's what he's trying to accomplish. Now, this is not consistent with the Constitution, nor is it consistent with Supreme Court precedents. I have made many videos telling you exactly what the 14th Amendment, the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment, and Supreme Court precedent says about birthright citizenship. And to be exact, it says that if a child is born in this country and is subject to the jurisdiction thereof, then that child is a citizen of this country, except when the parents are either foreign diplomats or aliens of a hostile country. Hey, family, do you believe in the work we're doing? Does our content speak to you? Do you appreciate our in-depth legal analysis and political commentary from an African-American perspective? Do you believe it matters to our community? Then don't just watch from the sidelines. Please click that membership button and become a member of the 2% Club today. That's right, we need just 2% of our subscribers to become channel members. For just $4.99 a month, that's less than 20 cents a day, you'll help us keep creating powerful content that defends our democracy, demands justice, and develops a strong African-American community. But if you want more, at $9.99 a month, which is only 33 cents a day, you'll get access to exclusive members-only live streams, bonus content, and behind-the-scenes updates. And for just $14.99 a month, which is under 50 cents a day, our top-tier members get access to live Zone calls, strategy sessions, and a direct voice in shaping this movement. We're not just building a YouTube channel. Folks, we're building a movement based on righteousness and justice, just what our community needs in a time of disinformation and division. So if you believe in what we're doing, click the membership button and join now. Become a member of the 2% Club today. Let's build something powerful together. So that's what the law says. That's what the United States Constitution says by way of the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment. So when he put out that executive order, several courts issued universal injunctions. And we know that Trump both appealed those lower courts and he asked SCOTUS to stay those universal injunctions. In other words, to put a stop to them. All right, so SCOTUS agreed with Trump. And they basically said that universal injunctions cannot be issued by lower courts except in class action lawsuits and several other very limited circumstances. All right. So then SCOTUS sent the case back to the district court. Then the plaintiffs, following SCOTUS, filed a class action lawsuit. And following SCOTUS, the lower court issued another universal injunction. And all that was consistent this time with SCOTUS's holding. So the Trump administration appealed that to the Ninth Circuit. All right. This time, however, the issue is not whether the universal injunction is wrong, unconstitutional, illegal, but now it gets to the issue of whether Trump's executive order redefining birthright citizenship is constitutional. All right. And the Ninth Circuit ruled on that particular question. Is Trump's executive order redefining birthright citizenship, is that constitutional? So that's what we're going to look at here in just a moment. But I think it'll be a good idea if I give you some information or explain to you the hierarchy and the levels of the federal court system. All right, so the federal court system has three main levels. The district courts or the trial courts, they hear the cases, right? The litigation goes on in there, in the lower courts. All right, all the discovery, all of the trial testimony, all of the judges' orders and rulings and whether or not evidence is coming in or not, all that's done in the district courts. All right, so they hear nearly all federal cases, and there are 94 district courts in the country. Now, if someone wants to appeal from there, then they will appeal to one of the 13 circuit courts, the United States Courts of Appeal. Okay, there are 13 circuits. All right, and the whole country is a part of one of those circuits. And then if someone wants to appeal from one of those 13 circuit courts, one of those United States Courts of Appeal, then they have to file what's called a writ of certiorari to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS will choose whether or not it wants to hear the case. So we don't have a right to appeal to SCOTUS because SCOTUS accepts a limited number of cases each year. All right. Now, against that backdrop, let's look at some of this opinion that was handed down by the Ninth Circuit. It is really important. All right. So here's the case itself. And you see state of Washington, state of Arizona, state of Illinois, state of Oregon, Delmy, Franco, Alleman, Cheryl, Morales, Castillo, Alicia, Chavaria, Lopez. Those are the plaintiffs. And then you see, of course, they sued Donald Trump, United States Department of Homeland Security, and so on. All right. Now, let's read some of this. Very interesting. So the judge who wrote the opinion, Judge Good, or it could be Goud, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He writes, Washington, Arizona, Illinois, and Oregon, and individual expectant mothers challenge as unconstitutional Executive Order Number 14160, which purports to deny citizenship to the children born in United States territory of parents temporarily or unlawfully present in the United States. So that's stated very succinctly. That's what this is all about. All right, the district court entered a universal preliminary injunction which bars implementation of the executive order. Defendants appeal, that is Trump appealed, contending that the states lack standing to challenge the executive order, that it was error to issue a preliminary injunction, and that the scope of the injunction is overbroad. All right, those were the things that they appealed on. We address whether the executive order is constitutional and valid. So this is the big part, not whether the universal injunction was correct or unconstitutional or exceeded the district court's authority and jurisdiction, but whether the executive order itself is constitutional and valid. So that's what the Ninth Circuit looked at in this case. And here's what they concluded. It states, we conclude that the executive order is invalid because it contradicts the plain language of the 14th Amendment's grant of citizenship to all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. We have jurisdiction under 28 U.S.C. Section 1292, subsection A1. So the court said that Trump's interpretation of the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional and it is invalid. The court says specifically it contradicts the plain language of the 14th Amendment. All right, so this is it. This is the first court. SCOTUS didn't say that. SCOTUS didn't even address that issue. SCOTUS addressed whether or not the universal injunction was valid. So now we have a court, a circuit court, and for that particular circuit, this is final. If SCOTUS does not hear this case, then that's final, at least for that circuit. All right? But we know SCOTUS is definitely going to hear whether this is constitutional or not. And then SCOTUS will issue a decision that will basically apply to the entire country. And again, SCOTUS doesn't have to take this case, but we know SCOTUS is going to take this case. And I'll be honest with you, there is a good chance that Trump will win with SCOTUS. There's just a good chance. I'm being practical. I know that the Constitution, the 14th Amendment is clear about birthright citizenship. And the case that I have told you about a few times, Wong Kim Ark, is very clear about what parents are not able to have children who would become citizens of America. The Wong Kim Ark case is very clear about that. Again, as I've told you several times, only parents who are foreign diplomats or parents who are aliens of a hostile nation, only those two sets of parents, if they give birth to children, those children will not be citizens. That is clear. The case goes all the way back to the 19th century. Still, there's just a good chance that SCOTUS is going to side with Trump. Why do I say that? Well, there are 6 conservatives on the court, and they've essentially rubber stamped everything that Trump has done. They gave him absolute immunity. They recently allowed him to deport aliens to foreign countries, no matter the condition. I mean, we got to be realistic about this. SCOTUS pretty much is a part of MAGA. I mean, Trump thanked John Roberts on national television, thanked him, I presume, for the absolute immunity case, but just sticking with him through all of this. That is the situation that we're in. Now, listen to me carefully. I say it every time, and I'm going to continue to say it. We wouldn't be in this case if Trump had not won in 2016. Why do I say that? Because when he won in 2016, he was able to put 3 people on the court. 3. And those 3 make up half of the 6 conservatives who now are rubber stamping everything Trump does. He put Amy Coney Barrett, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh on the court. And he calls them Trump judges or Trump justices. And so far, he is absolutely correct. So, there's just a really good chance that they will carve out the exception that children who are in the country, people who are in the country legally who give birth to children, their children will not be citizens. That's just a good possibility. I may be wrong. Okay, they may completely fool me. I don't know. But so far, my track record is being very, very much on predicting what SCOTUS is going to do, just basically based on who is on the court. And I bring up the fact that, bring up the 2016 election because African Americans played a part in Trump winning that election and a huge part in Trump winning here recently. So much so, what did Trump do? He thanked Black Americans in 2016 And he thanked black Americans again, literally said, I would not be president without you. And we see the thanks and the appreciation he has shown black Americans with all of his anti-blackness, anti-civil rights policies and executive orders. And we got a whole lot more of that to come. So, yeah, I think it is a very good chance that they will side with Trump. Now, I want to point out something else to you because of something that Trump said, and a lot of African-American people have picked up on this. All right, so facts and procedure history. The 14th Amendment was adopted after the Civil War in order to reject and refute the holding of Dred Scott versus Sanford, which in substance held that slaves and descendants of slaves were not citizens of the United States, and to put citizenship beyond the power of any government unit to destroy. Okay, let's go up some more. When the 14th Amendment was ratified, whether birthright citizenship applied to the children of non-citizens was still an open issue. This is what I want you to see. But the Supreme Court answered that question in the United States versus Wong Kim Ark, the case I've told you about many times. When the case was decided, Chinese nationals in the United States were not permitted to become citizens. Chinese laborers could not re-enter the United States if they left. Chinese laborers were also required to obtain a certificate of residence, and non-laborers, Chinese persons, and non-labor Chinese persons were subject to a harsh presumption that they were unlawfully present. Against that backdrop, the Supreme Court considered the case of Wong Kim Ark, a Chinese-American man who was denied re-entry to the United States despite being born in the United States. The Supreme Court canvassed English common law, early American decisions, and citizenship meaning to the 14th Amendment's drafters, and then held that the citizenship clause stands for, listen, the fundamental rule of citizenship by birth within the dominion of the United States, notwithstanding alienage of parents. For that reason, although Wong Kim Ark's parents would have been unable to naturalize or even return to the United States, Wong Kim Ark acquired United States citizenship by birth within the United States. All right, since Wong Kim Ark was decided in 1898, and until this challenged executive order, the judiciary, Congress, and the executive branch have consistently and uniformly protected the citizenship clause's explicit guarantee of birthright citizenship regardless of the immigration status of an individual's parents. The court is really clear about two things. One, regardless of the status of the immigration status of a parent, their children that are born here are citizens. They're clear about something else, and that is, remember Trump said that the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment applies only to the children of slaves? Remember he said that? And you've heard many people repeat that. And I've told them that they're wrong. But what do I know? I'm just a civil rights lawyer, been studying and practicing law almost 2 decades. What do I know? Content creators who have never practiced law, never studied law, never attended law school, never passed the bar exam, who are not certified by the Supreme Court of any state, they know more than I know. That's why our community is in such a horrible shape, because we tend to listen to those kind of people rather than somebody who knows what they're talking about. The reason that is not true, that's what Trump wants. That's exactly what he wants. He wants the court to say that birthright citizenship only applies or was put in the Constitution because of the children of slaves, enslaved people. But just think about that. That would exclude him. His forefathers were not enslaved people. So how is it then that he is a citizen based on birthright citizenship if the birthright citizenship clause only applies to the children of enslaved people? That would exclude all white people. He's wrong, basically. Because, and let me tell you what he's wrong about. He's not wrong that the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment was added to give citizenship to the children of enslaved people and those enslaved people. He's not wrong about that, but he's wrong to say it's limited to just us. And he's wrong because of the case of Wong Kim Ark. We just read that this case had to do with Chinese people. And the Supreme Court in that case said, whether Chinese, whether whatever, if they're here and they're not here as foreign diplomats and they're not here as aliens of a foreign nation, foreign hostile nation, then their kids born here are citizens. Whether black, whether white, whether Asian, whether Arab, that's the law. That's the U.S. Constitution, and that's Supreme Court precedents. Now, again, there's a very good chance, or at least a good chance. I don't know how very good it is, but there's a chance at least. It is a safe assumption that SCOTUS will change it. Because I believe many of those conservatives, we know that they are a part of the same camp. They have the same worldview. But I think a lot of them also are bothered by the number of undocumented immigrants in the country. So I think they're on the same page with Trump in terms of trying to get that under control. And this would be the way, in their minds, I guess, to do it. Now, that's pure speculation. I could be wrong, and they could fool me. I hope they do, quite frankly. I don't want anyone tinkering with the 14th Amendment citizenship clause, because you get to tinkering with it, then here some right-wing somebody coming at us as African Americans. Do you follow me? All right. So that is a huge update. A circuit court, a United States Court of Appeals, which is right beneath the Supreme Court, has ruled that Trump's definition of birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, invalid, and it contradicts the 14th Amendment. All right? That's huge. That's big. I want to make sure you know that and understand that. All right? I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, as always, stay woke, folks.